Nobody was talking about play calls. Nobody was debating stats. And surprisingly, nobody was focused on the final score. Instead, the entire NFL timeline froze on one short exchange that happened after the game ended. An exchange that lasted only seconds, but sparked days of non-stop debate. As players shook hands and cameras lingered, Shedeur Sanders crossed paths with Mike Tomlin, and what looked like a routine post-game moment instantly turned into a viral mystery. No shouting, no headlines, just a few quiet words and a look that fans couldn't stop replaying. And somehow, that moment hit harder than anything that happened between the whistles. This wasn't just any coach-player interaction. Tomlin is one of the most respected figures in the league, a coach known for never tipping his hand and never giving praise lightly. And Shedeur isn't just another young quarterback. He's the most polarizing name in football right now. Every throw, every win, every mistake gets magnified. So when those two crossed paths, people immediately felt like something deeper was happening. The timing only made it louder. The Cleveland Browns are sitting at a crossroads, with major decisions looming and pressure building by the day. Meanwhile, the Pittsburgh Steelers, a franchise built on stability, found themselves on the wrong side of a result few expected. That combination turned a quiet comment into fuel. Fans started asking questions fast. Was that respect? A warning? Something unsaid? Some swear Tomlin saw something different in Shedeur. Others say people are reading too much into it. But one thing is undeniable, this moment shifted the conversation. And once the internet grabbed hold of it, there was no slowing it down. Because what followed next took this story far beyond one game and straight into territory nobody saw coming. Right now, Cleveland doesn't feel like a normal NFL city wrapping up another season. It feels tense, heavy, like everyone inside the building knows something big is coming, even if nobody is saying it out loud yet. The season is almost over, but the real drama is just starting. The Cleveland Browns are entering a stretch where every decision matters more than ever. In just days, the season will officially close, and that's when the silence usually breaks. Press conferences, exit interviews. We'll evaluate everything. Fans have heard it all before, but this time feels different. There's a sense that evaluation might actually turn into action. A lot of eyes are on Kevin Stefanski, whose future has quietly become one of the worst-kept secrets in the league. Reports and chatter suggest frustration behind the scenes, not just from fans, but from higher up. It's been said that his body language around the facility has changed, with some claiming he looks checked out, almost like someone who knows the writing might already be on the wall. Whether that's fair or not, perception matters, and right now, perception isn't calm. Then there's ownership. Jimmy Haslam is reportedly active, involved, and paying close attention. Rumors suggest interviews and conversations happening quietly, the kind that usually don't start unless major changes are at least being considered. Nothing has been confirmed, but the timing alone has fans connecting dots. When ownership starts moving differently, people notice. Add in the front office, the quarterback situation, and the constant outside noise, and suddenly Cleveland feels less like a team finishing a season and more like an organization standing at a crossroads. Every win, every loss, every viral clip now feels like evidence being added to a larger case. That's what makes this moment so volatile. It's not just about football anymore. It's about direction, identity, control. And when a young quarterback becomes the center of that conversation, pressure doesn't just sit on his shoulders, it spreads across the entire building. And that's why what happened next mattered so much. Because in the middle of all this tension, one game didn't just end a matchup, it poured gasoline on an already burning situation. This wasn't supposed to be that kind of win. On paper, it was just another late-season game, one more result in a long NFL schedule. But the moment the clock hit zero, everything shifted. Because when the Cleveland Browns walked off the field with a victory over the Pittsburgh Steelers, the conversation around the entire organization flipped almost instantly. At the center of it all was Shedeur Sanders. Whether people want to admit it or not, wins change narratives faster than press conferences ever could. For weeks, critics had lined up with talking points: decision-making, turnovers, pressure, readiness. But the moment Cleveland pulled off that win, especially against a division rival coached by Mike Tomlin, those arguments suddenly didn't hit the same. What made this victory different wasn't dominance. It wasn't perfection. It was timing. Cleveland needed something, anything, to break the cycle of negativity, and Shedeur delivered a result that forced people to pause. Even those who weren't convinced had to acknowledge one thing: the team played with belief. And belief is contagious. You could feel it online almost immediately. Fans who had been quiet started speaking up. Critics softened their tone, if only slightly. And supporters doubled down, pointing out that this was exactly what they'd been waiting for. A moment where Shedeur didn't just survive the noise, but stood in the middle of it and walked out with a win. That's why this game mattered more than the box score. In Cleveland, every quarterback performance is treated like a referendum on the future. Fair or not, Shedeur has been carrying that weight from the moment he arrived. And with this win, the conversation stopped being about whether he belongs and started becoming about what happens if the organization fully commits. Of course, not everyone was convinced. Some immediately pivoted to mistakes. Others tried to minimize the result. But that's the thing about wins like this. You can argue details, but you can't erase the outcome. And just when people thought the story would end there, something happened after the final whistle that pushed this moment from important win into full-blown viral territory. Because the game may have ended, but the real discussion was only getting started. The game was already over, but the moment that grabbed everyone's attention didn't show up on the stat sheet. As players moved through the usual post-game routine, cameras caught Shedeur Sanders crossing paths with Mike Tomlin, and what followed instantly lit up social media. There was no celebration, no trash talk, no dramatic gestures, just a brief exchange, quiet, calm, almost understated. And somehow that made it louder than anything else that happened all night. Fans immediately started replaying the clip frame by frame, trying to catch every word, every facial expression, every pause. Some swear Tomlin's tone sounded approving. Others believe it carried a deeper message, the kind that veterans give when they recognize something real. What made this interaction hit harder is who Mike Tomlin is. He's not a coach known for handing out compliments, especially to young quarterbacks on opposing teams. Tomlin's reputation is built on discipline, consistency, and saying as little as possible in moments that could be overanalyzed. So when people saw him lean in, speak directly to Shedeur, and walk away with that knowing expression, curiosity took over. Almost immediately, theories started spreading. Some fans claimed Tomlin was showing respect for a rookie who just handed his team a tough loss. Others went further, suggesting he saw something familiar: poise under pressure, confidence without panic, a quarterback who didn't flinch when the moment got heavy. To be clear, none of that has been confirmed. These are interpretations, not facts, but perception is everything online, and perception took control fast. The timing only amplified it. The Pittsburgh Steelers aren't used to being on the wrong side of these moments, especially not against a young quarterback still trying to prove himself. Seeing Tomlin acknowledge Shedeur right after the loss made some fans uncomfortable, while others saw it as a passing of respect. Nothing more, nothing less. Still, once the clip went viral, there was no putting the genie back in the bottle. Comment sections exploded. Sports pages reposted it with captions full of question marks and emojis. Everyone seemed to ask the same thing: why did this feel different? And that's the key. Whether the exchange meant something big or absolutely nothing at all, it felt significant. And in today's NFL media cycle, feeling is often enough to turn a small moment into a massive talking point. But that wasn't where the speculation stopped. Because once people started reading into that exchange, the conversation took a sharp turn, straight into territory that surprised even longtime fans. Almost immediately after that post-game exchange went viral, an old storyline resurfaced, one that many people thought had already been buried. The idea that the Pittsburgh Steelers once had serious interest in Shedeur Sanders during the pre-draft process suddenly became front-page conversation again. To be clear, nothing was ever officially confirmed. No press release, no on-the-record quotes, but reports at the time claimed the Steelers were quietly doing their homework, evaluating Shedeur as a possible future option. And when a franchise like Pittsburgh is even linked to a quarterback prospect, fans tend to remember it, especially when that same quarterback later lines up across from them and walks away with a win. That's why the timing felt so strange to people. Seeing Mike Tomlin exchange words with Shedeur after the game didn't happen in a vacuum. For fans who remembered those rumors, the moment felt layered, almost like a what-could-have-been scenario playing out in real time. Social media ran with it instantly. Clips were reposted with captions suggesting regret, missed opportunity, or quiet admiration. Again, none of that has been verified. There's no evidence Tomlin was revisiting draft evaluations or sending hidden messages. But that didn't stop speculation from spreading. Because once fans connect dots, even loosely, the story starts writing itself. Some Steelers supporters brushed it off, saying it was nothing more than respect after a hard-fought game. Others weren't so quick to dismiss it. They pointed to Shedeur's composure, his confidence in hostile moments, and the way he handled pressure, arguing that he fit the Steelers' mold more than people realized at the time. On the flip side, Browns fans leaned into it heavily. To them, the rumor coming back to life felt validating, almost like proof that Shedeur was always viewed differently behind closed doors, even if the public narrative didn't reflect it. The win only strengthened that belief. What makes this rumor so sticky is that it can't really be disproven either. Draft interest is often quiet by design, and teams rarely reveal how close they came to pulling the trigger. That gray area leaves just enough room for imagination to take over. And once imagination takes over, logic usually follows behind it, not the other way around. That's how a brief post-game exchange turned into a revived debate about alternate timelines, front office decisions, and missed chances. But the rumor didn't stop at draft talk, because as it grew, it morphed into something even bigger, an argument that pushed this story from curiosity into outright controversy. Once the Steelers' rumor resurfaced, the conversation took an even sharper turn, one that surprised a lot of people. Suddenly, the focus wasn't just on Shedeur Sanders or what Mike Tomlin might have meant in that post-game exchange. Instead, fans online began floating a much bolder idea. Could this loss actually matter for Tomlin's future? To be clear, this is where speculation ran far ahead of reality. Tomlin is one of the most stable, respected coaches in the league. His resume, consistency, and track record speak for themselves. There has been no official report, no confirmation, and no credible source suggesting his job is in danger. But that didn't stop the internet from doing what it does best, taking a small moment and stretching it into a massive debate. The logic, at least online, went something like this. Losing to a young quarterback many didn't expect to beat you looks bad. Losing during a season where expectations were already high looks worse. And losing in a way that fuels viral clips, rumors, and narratives. That's where people start talking reckless. Some fans argued that the Pittsburgh Steelers are held to a different standard, and that any perceived step backward invites scrutiny, no matter who the coach is. Others pushed back hard, calling the speculation ridiculous. They pointed out that one game, especially against a division opponent, isn't grounds for rewriting a legacy. To them, the entire conversation said more about how polarizing Shedeur has become than anything about Tomlin. When Shedeur wins, the reaction isn't normal. It's extreme. Either he's being crowned prematurely or blamed unfairly, with very little middle ground. What's interesting is how quickly Shedeur became the centerpiece of that debate. This wasn't really about Tomlin's job. It was about what it means to lose to Shedeur Sanders in the current NFL climate. For some, it symbolized a shift, young quarterbacks changing narratives faster than organizations can adjust. For others, it was just another overreaction fueled by social media. Still, the fact that this conversation even happened says a lot. It shows how powerful perception has become. A single loss, paired with a viral moment and old rumors, was enough to spark questions nobody would have asked a few weeks ago. And while the job security talk may fade, it leaves something behind. A reminder that when Shedeur is involved, nothing stays small for long. Because as soon as one debate dies down, another one is already waiting to take its place. As soon as the celebration faded, the spotlight swung right back to criticism, specifically one interception that instantly became ammunition for skeptics. For some fans, it didn't matter that Shedeur Sanders won the game. That single throw was enough for them to say, "See, this is what we've been talking about." But that reaction ignored a much bigger layer to the story. Shedeur didn't just throw a risky pass out of nowhere. That play came from years of muscle memory, trust, and a very specific style of football he developed long before he ever stepped into the NFL spotlight. And that's where the Travis Hunter effect comes in. For 3 seasons, Shedeur played with Travis Hunter, a receiver who made a living off winning impossible situations. Throw it high, throw it contested, throw it when logic says don't, and Travis would still come down with it. That kind of chemistry changes how a quarterback sees the field. It teaches you that 50-50 balls aren't really 50-50 anymore. Now fast forward to the NFL, where timing is tighter, defenders are faster, and not every receiver attacks the ball the same way. That interception wasn't just a bad decision. It was a moment where old instincts met a new reality. Some fans framed it as reckless. Others saw it as confidence that hasn't fully adjusted yet. Both can be true at the same time. What made the debate louder was how quickly people used it to question Shedeur's football IQ. Critics called it a duck or a forced throw, while supporters pointed out that aggressive quarterbacks have always lived on that edge. The difference is, when veterans do it, it's called trust. When young quarterbacks do it, it's called a mistake. There's also a cultural layer many ignored. Players and fans familiar with street football talked about go-up-and-get-it throws, the kind where the receiver is expected to fight through contact. That's the environment Shedeur came from. That's how he learned to play. And unlearning that doesn't happen overnight. The key point is this: the interception didn't lose the game. It didn't define the night. But it became a Rorschach test for how people already felt about Shedeur. If you believed in him, it was a growing pain. If you didn't, it was proof. And that's why this moment stuck. Because it wasn't really about one throw. It was about expectations colliding with reality. And once that happened, the noise only got louder, setting the stage for the next wave of reaction that followed immediately after. Once the game ended and the debate started piling up, the internet did what it always does. It turned everything up to max volume. What should have been a normal post-game cycle quickly spiraled into pure viral chaos, driven almost entirely by fans. And at the center of it all, once again, was Shedeur Sanders. Social media timelines filled up fast. Supporters celebrated like they'd been waiting months for this exact moment, while critics scrambled to move the goalposts. Some tried to downplay the win. Others zeroed in on mistakes. But the loudest reactions came from fans who had already put their words on the line before kickoff. One post in particular took on a life of its own. A Steelers fan had publicly promised to deactivate their account if the Cleveland Browns managed to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. At the time, it felt like harmless trash talk, the kind fans throw around every week. But once the Browns pulled it off, people went searching. And sure enough, the account was gone, deleted, vanished. Screenshots spread instantly, turning one fan's bold claim into a punchline shared across platforms. Moments like that poured gasoline on the fire. Laughing emojis, quote tweets, reaction videos. It wasn't even about football anymore. It was about pride, receipts, and who had to eat their words. Browns fans leaned into it, posting jokes and reminders. Steelers fans fired back, calling it luck, timing, or anything but a real statement. What stood out most was how quickly the narrative shifted from teams to individuals. Instead of the Browns beat the Steelers, the conversation became, they lost to Shedeur. That framing alone shows how polarizing he's become. Wins don't just belong to the team anymore. They get attached directly to him, for better or worse. At the same time, clips from the game, the post-game exchange, and fan reactions kept circulating, each repost adding a new caption and a new angle. Some posts disappeared just as fast as they went up. Tweets got deleted. Comments got walked back. But screenshots don't forget, and fans made sure nothing slipped through the cracks. This is the environment Shedeur is operating in now. Every performance creates waves far beyond the field. Every result comes with instant judgment, instant celebration, and instant backlash. And while the noise might feel excessive, it also reveals something important. When fans react this strongly, when bets are made, accounts are deleted, and timelines explode, it's a sign that the moment mattered. Maybe not in the standings, maybe not in the record books, but in the ongoing story surrounding Shedeur Sanders, this was another chapter nobody could ignore. When all the clips stop looping and the timelines finally move on, this moment will still linger for one simple reason. It was never just about one game. It wasn't about one throw, one win, or one post-game exchange. It was about what that moment represented in a season full of tension, uncertainty, and shifting narratives. For Shedeur Sanders, this game became another checkpoint in a career that's been under a microscope since day one. Every step he takes feels louder than it should be. Every success gets questioned. Every mistake gets amplified. And yet, through all of that, he keeps ending nights the same way, standing upright, calm, and unfazed by the noise swirling around him. That's why the interaction with Mike Tomlin struck such a nerve. Not because it confirmed anything concrete, but because it symbolized something fans could feel even if they couldn't fully explain it. Respect, recognition, or at the very least, acknowledgement that Shedeur belongs in conversations people once tried to keep him out of. For the Cleveland Browns, this moment adds another layer to an offseason that's already shaping up to be volatile. Decisions are coming. Big ones. Coaching, direction, identity. And performances like this make those choices harder, not easier. When a young quarterback delivers wins while the building feels unstable, it forces uncomfortable questions at the top. Meanwhile, the Pittsburgh Steelers walk away with more than just a loss. They walk away from a moment fans won't let go of, a reminder that the league doesn't wait for tradition or reputation. It moves forward, whether you're ready or not. The loudest takeaway here isn't the speculation, the rumors, or the viral chaos. It's the fact that Shedeur has become unavoidable. You can criticize him. You can doubt him. You can downplay wins or overanalyze mistakes, but you can't ignore him. And in today's NFL, that's power. This wasn't a defining game. It didn't crown anyone. It didn't end any debates. What it did was push the story forward. It added fuel, tension, and momentum heading into an offseason that promises even more scrutiny. Because if one quiet post-game moment could spark all of this, just imagine what happens next.